Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellowshow. Hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas weekend, and hopefully you guys got through to the fantasy championships. For tonight's video, December 28th, it is Tuesday evening here. I'm going to go over the waiver wire report, and I know the chances of most people making it to the championships are not that great, so we'll probably have less people and maybe some less questions, but we're still going to do our typical waiver wire show this week. We'll still go live. I'll probably go live tomorrow night and Thursday night as well to help you guys out with your start sit decisions. But what we're going to do for tonight, I first wanted to hop into some of the player news. I'll wait for some people to get into the chat room here. But the main headlines today is a huge one. Because we saw Carson Wentz, that was kind of how the morning started. Carson Wentz went on to the COVID list, and then the NFL came out and informed all the football teams that unvaccinated players who test positive are eligible to play on Sunday under the new protocols. And it's basically 5 days that they can return in. So unvaxxed positives back after 5 days are allowed to play. So that's going to change the timeline. And I think if you get put on the list on Monday, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you do have a chance. If you get put on that list on Monday, you should have a chance to play this week. So we'll see about Carson Wentz. I think that means he's out for this week, but we'll see. So that's the new COVID news going, at least for this week and probably throughout the playoffs. We'll see if this evolves. But some other main headlines, the Packers put a couple guys on the COVID list, including tight end Mercedes Lewis. Bruce Arians tested positive for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's isolating at home. There's a report that the Colts have discussed calling Philip Rivers so that they don't have to go to their rookie quarterback, Sam Ehlinger. And then just some coaching news from the Jaguars. They're asking permission from Tampa Bay to interview offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. And I think they also asked permission for Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator there. So that's interesting. Allen Robinson still recovering from COVID-19. And otherwise, it was a relatively slow news day. There wasn't too much stuff that came out. I'm looking for some other things. The Jags are going to be interviewing for head coach. They requested permission from Kellen Moore. I believe there's Dan Quinn from the Cowboys as well. So the Jaguars looking at poaching a really good coaching candidate right now. We got Ron hanging out with us. Congrats, man. I made it to the championship round in 2 of my leagues in part to my advice. Awesome. I appreciate it's an even exchange, man. I just come on here and I talk fantasy football, and then I get a kick out of seeing comments like these. So awesome. Congratulations. The work's not done yet, though. We're going to try and get you through and get you some championships. So two of the leagues left. I have 2 championship opportunities this week as well in one league. One league's kind of cool because it would be a back-to-back championship situation. It would be 3 out of the last 4 years that I've been able to win that one. So that one's pretty cool. And then I have a fresh dynasty league that's maybe, I think we're in our 3rd year. So I have a chance to win in the 3rd year. So fantasy football championships are coming this week. And we'll see if we can kind of ride these COVID waves and get you through to where you need to go. One of the other major headlines that I saw from yesterday and today, 49ers, man, I think it's going to be Trey Lance starting this week because Jimmy Garoppolo's got the right thumb injury. So I'm leaning towards him being doubtful. They're probably going to prep with Trey Lance getting the first team reps all week. It's a really good matchup for Houston. So I think if you're streaming quarterbacks, Trey Lance might be the one guy to look at that should be widely available in a lot of 1 QB leagues. So he's interesting. And then let me just take a peek and see if there's it was a really slow news day today. I think the COVID stuff, the 5-day, unvaxxed positive situation got cleared up. And otherwise, rest in peace, John Madden. That news just broke about half an hour ago. So that's crazy. He just had that new special come out. I think it was on Fox the other day. So rest in peace to John Madden. But otherwise, for other fantasy football news, I'm not really seeing too much. I'm seeing Darren Waller. They're hoping that he can practice Wednesday. So if you've been waiting for Waller, there's a chance that he could play. But otherwise, I'm gonna hop into the quarterback situation. Let me actually show. I'm going to do a screen share real quick here of the fantasyfellowship.com. So I pull all of my data off of ESPN here as far as percent rostership. So that's what we're looking at here. But if you have one of these top quarterbacks, you should be fine. I think Lamar Jackson's going to play this week. But if you need a QB, Taysom Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, those guys are both about 50% available. I do think Justin Fields is an interesting guy. He had been playing pretty well before his ankle issue. I just want to pull up Justin Fields real quick. I'm actually kind of excited about what he could do against the Giants because we saw before he got before he missed the Seattle game, Justin Fields puts up 18 and 16.9. He threw for over 224 yards in both games. He's starting to run the ball more, so he's a guy that I'm looking at as a potential streamer if you need somebody. And then another player here. Again, we just touched on Trey Lance. He's probably going to be the starter. So if you need a rookie QB, that could be interesting. But I think most people probably care about the running back situation more so. Let me see what Ron says here. Who should I prioritize the most for flex? From Dare Ogunbowale, Isaiah McKenzie, Keyshawn Vaughn, Braxton Berrios, and Zay Jones. Please provide order you would put them in for. So if we need one flex to start here, Ogunbowale is interesting. I have a hard time trusting a Jacksonville Jaguar, especially in the fantasy playoffs. Let me see what else he said. Other than that, I would have to start AJ Green, Judy, or Marvin Jones. So those guys are all interesting. I do think Isaiah McKenzie, though, he is sticking out. He is a guy that he did make my list here. He's on the bottom of the receiver list. I did give him a 3-star review here. So as far as waiver wire wide receivers, I do think Isaiah McKenzie is probably the best of the bunch here. He looked fantastic the other day here. And now they get Atlanta. So 29.4, 11 catches, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 12 total targets. So this is a player that when he gets his number called, he's been pretty productive here. There's been a few games where Cole Beasley's been out that he's done well. And with Beasley and Gabe Davis both not being able to play, I think Isaiah McKenzie against Atlanta, he might be the best call here. Otherwise, Keyshawn Vaughn did look good, but the majority of his fantasy production came on that one long touchdown run. And if we look at the numbers here real quick, 7 for 70 and 1 touchdown. I don't trust he looked really bad in the passing game against the Saints. I don't think he's a guy that's going to have a lot of volume. So I'm not too big into Keyshawn Vaughn. I know it's a great matchup against the Jets, but I'm going to probably play someone with more guaranteed volume at that position. I'm just want to go to standings here. Braxton Berrios. So Berrios is interesting. If this is a full PPR league, I'm interested. He didn't really get the great stat line last week, but if you take away his return touchdown, he went 5 for 37. He also got a 3-yard carry, so that's an 8.7 floor roughly here. He's been over double digits in 3 straight games, so I do like Braxton Berrios as like a safe, reliable play. It's against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been allowing a lot of wide receiver points. So I think of the 2 names here, those 2 stick out. But then I was looking at Zay Jones too. Zay Jones has been coming on, and he's been probably the most trusted player outside of Hunter Renfrow in this offense, especially the last 2 games. 9 targets and 8 targets, 6 catches in both, 67 yards and 50 yards. Let me see. Where is Indianapolis in terms of fantasy points against the wideout? The Colts, let's see. The Colts are pretty stingy. They have allowed 18 touchdowns, though, so that does bode well for a guy like Zay Jones. But they have actually limited these guys in PPR numbers. So I think I'm going to rank them McKenzie, Berrios, Jones, and then I'm probably just going to stay away from Keyshawn Vaughn. I'd rather have Dare Ogunbowale, so he'll be 4th, Keyshawn Vaughn last. And then if we have to start one of these guys, I think I'm going to roll with that Isaiah McKenzie play. The man just saw 12 targets in a competitive game against the Patriots. Going up against Atlanta, I think good things could happen. So McKenzie is the lead guy for me. Do you feel with the new news that the league? Oh, I didn't even think about this. Yes, that is a huge possibility. That is a huge possibility. So getting a guy like McKenzie, and then, well, these guys still have to do their part in testing negative. So I can't remember when they went on the COVID list. Let me double check here. When did Beasley get put on there? Cole Beasley. Let's see. This was on December 21st. So technically he'd be eligible to go in now, but again, he has to become available. So I still think it's worth holding on to Isaiah McKenzie. There's a chance that even if Cole Beasley and Gabriel, if one of them comes back, I think McKenzie's probably going to be involved in the offense. So I do like McKenzie, but it wouldn't be a bad idea maybe to snag Berrios as well, just in case. So either way, I think Berrios and Tampa Bay, they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit here. Jerry Jeudy, like, do we need to hold on to these guys? Probably not. So I still think maybe grabbing 2 of these guys makes sense here. But that's a good call, good idea, good thinking. But as far as other wide receivers here, I'm sure Amon-Ra St. Brown has been snagged up. Emmanuel Sanders did not play very well last week. I think he only caught 2 for 20 on 4 targets. but he's a guy here against Atlanta that could have a nice bounce back game. AJ Green did make my list as far as wide receivers being allowed points here. Dallas is middle of the road here, so it's not a bad matchup for AJ Green. Let me just double check. I thought AJ Green was pretty quiet the other day here. Let me see. AJ Green. So 4.3 is really hard to trust. He did have 2 nice games back to back here, but I don't know if I'm going to whip him out against Dallas. As far as Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Jones had himself a good game the other day too. But I don't know if I don't know if I want to rely on a Jaguar here. The floor is like 3 points here. 13 targets is nice, but against New England, I'm probably just going to stay away from that. So I still like McKenzie. I still like Berrios. Those are guys that interest me a little bit more. I suppose if you wanted to get a guy like Allen Lazard, so from the fantasy points allowed stats, the Vikings of late here, they have shot up the boards in terms of allowing wide receiver points. And in a PPR league, they allow the 3rd most wide receiver points. So of course, Devontae Adams is going to be the guy that's getting the bulk of the workload there in Green Bay, but Allen Lazard has come on of late here. He's a guy that I think could be trusted in a situation like this. And again, you're attaching yourself to Aaron Rodgers, which is not a bad idea right now. And you just look at so you had the slow game against Baltimore, but he's playing some good football right now to finish the season. And again, just going with the numbers, Detroit allows a lot of fantasy points. Other than that, I mean, Berrios made the list. Isaiah McKenzie did make the list as well. So I think those are the 2 names that do stick out the most. In terms of running backs, though, what's up with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is he in jeopardy of missing this week? I know he had the collarbone thing. Let me just read up on here. So the bruised shoulder. So we don't know if he's going to play. I do think if Darrell Williams is out there, right here, Darrell Williams, he's about 60% rostered in ESPN leagues. But if Darrell Williams is out there, he's a guy that's worth holding on to, because if no Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like Darrell Williams at Cincinnati. He's a good pass catcher, good runner. He's a goal line back as well. So keep your eye out for Darrell Williams. Still not sure if Elijah Mitchell's going to come back, but I do like Jeff Wilson. Rashad Penny's probably already picked up in most leagues. But Rex Burkhead, I don't know if I want to trust throwing out Rex Burkhead, but he dominated last week as well. And then the broken hand thing with Miles Sanders, that's going to open it up for Boston Scott and or Jordan Howard. Now, Jordan Howard had a stinger the other day here, so it might be a Boston Scott week. I do think if you miss out on some of the more high priority guys, Jordan Howard or Boston Scott will likely be the lead back for Philly this week. And then, of course, there's Dare Ogunbowale. We got Andrew hanging out with us. Are you comfortable with Taysom Hill and Pat Freiermuth? Taysom Hill against Carolina, that feels just fine there. I know he's coming back from the COVID list, so he should be hopefully well rested and ready to go. And I wanted to pull up the NFL standings, because just looking at some of these games, I mean, the Saints fell out of the NFC playoff race. They're still a game out right now. They need to win. They're playing a Carolina Panthers team that's already been eliminated. So I like Taysom Hill. They should be putting up some points there. And then the thing with Pat Freiermuth here, I don't know if he's going to play. He's an interesting guy. He's had 2 concussions, and I think in less than 1 month, in the span of like 4 games. So I don't know if he's going to be ready. I think it sucks doing the waiver wire show on Tuesday night, because Wednesday is like really the first big day for all the practice reports. So as far as Pat Freiermuth, I'm unsure if he's going to play. If I had to bet, let me just see what his tight end points are being allowed. They're playing against Cleveland this week, and I think that's the Monday night game, right? But Cleveland, middle of the road against tight end. I do think he could be of use here. Let me actually look and see. Did he play against them earlier this season? So back in week 8, he went 4 for 44 and a touchdown, 7 targets. He's been pretty good. His lowest game, 6-7 points. I'm fine with Pat Freiermuth as a tight end 1 if he does get cleared to play last week, and though he did sit out. So we'll see. Tomlin saying today that he has a chance to play. So I think if Freiermuth plays, yeah, there you go. I think if Freiermuth plays, you're going to play him as your tight end 1. He's him and Kyle Pitts, man. They are going to be pretty good for a long time here. So I like Pat very much. Let me see what else we got here. So we went over the running backs real quick. I kind of glanced over the wide receivers real quick here. I'm always a sucker for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think he could be a guy that could have some value. And again, with the new, I thought he was vaccinated. I'm not sure. But the chances of him playing this week are really good. And then again, it's Minnesota. He put up 20.8. He had 7 targets, 5 for 98, and a touchdown. This is a guy that has been playing pretty well the last few games here. He went 4 for 123 and 1 touchdown against the Vikings back in Week 11. That was in Minnesota as well here. So he had that long, it was like a 70-yard touchdown. So I do like MVS as a sneaky wide receiver play. In terms of tight ends are it's super murky right now. I think if you don't have one of these top guys here, you're probably looking at guys like Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. Let me pull up Gerald Everett's numbers actually, because if you guys do need a tight end, Everett's been one of the better tight ends the last month and a half or so. You look at his numbers after the bye here, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over double digits out of 7 games. He's caught 3 touchdowns in the last 5 games, and his targets have been up compared to how he was at the beginning of the season. So I like the involvement here. You see 4 catches, 60 yards over the last 2 games, in both of the last 2 games. So he's starting to come on. They're going to get the Detroit Lions in terms of fantasy points allowed at the tight end. Where's Detroit? Where is Detroit? The Lions allowed the 9th most fantasy points to tight end. So it is a good matchup for Gerald Everett if you guys need a tight end streamer. Let me see here. I do like Foster Moreau if Darren Waller can't go, but it's looking like he's likely to play. Uzama's an interesting one. I think the Chiefs are solid, though. I guess they rank 13th. So if you need tight end, Uzama's on the list. But I think our guy Gerald Everett here is kind of the lead guy for me. Let me know if you guys have any other tight end questions. I'm comfortable with Everett. He's been playing well. It's a game against Detroit at home as well. And then as for defenses this week, so the way I've been making this list is I'm basically just listing my teams that I'm most comfortable with starting on defense. The Patriots, I know they're 84.5% rostered on ESPN leagues, but they're going to get Jacksonville at home. And again, this is a team here that really needs a win. They're currently the 6th seed here. If Buffalo were to somehow slip up in the next week or two, this would be a big game for them. So New England needs to win. They need to play good. One of the better plays this week. I think the New Orleans Saints against Carolina, this is a really kind of a similar situation. They need a win to stay into the NFC race. They're playing Carolina. They should be able to beat these guys, and it's also at home as well. Tampa Bay against the Jets, you got to feel good about that. Zach Wilson can make some turnover plays for you and make your day just in one play. The Buffalo Bills hosting the Atlanta Falcons, that's a good one. But again, these teams, a lot of these teams are high rostered. So we'll see what happens. I do think Chicago is interesting. The Bears have been playing better of late on defense the last few weeks. You take away the Packer game, but the Giants, just not a team that inspires a lot of confidence on offense right now. So I do think the Bears at 13%, that's probably one of the better streaming options. I do like Seattle. Their defense has actually been playing pretty well too. 38% rostered here. Tennessee against Miami, I think I might lower that there. I'd rather almost play Miami at this point. Miami's been hot. But the 49ers going up against Houston at home. 49ers need a win. That's a good play there. We'll see about the Colts. I got to watch some of the COVID stuff for the Colts here to see if they get their guys back. The Browns against Pittsburgh, that's a decent one here. But I do really like the Eagles at Washington. Washington just does not look very good at all. So what's up to Justin? And yeah, Trey Lance season is on. So I'm excited to see it. And I just like, what if Trey Lance just comes out and just like destroys it? Like what if he comes out and, throws for 2 touchdowns or runs for another one or something like that. And all of a sudden they can't put him back. They can't put him back on the bench. So I'm excited for Trey Lance season. I do think that he is a guy that, I don't know, man. I'm curious to see what the 49ers do in 2022. You have a guy in Jimmy Garoppolo who is super steady. He knows the offense, but in the few spot moments where Trey Lance played earlier this season, he played well for fantasy. Look at these 2 games here. One against Seattle, 9 of 18, 157 yards passing, but he gets the 2 touchdowns, adds 41 yards on the ground. And then you get another game here where he didn't score a touchdown, but he throws for 192 yards. He even throws an interception, but he racks up 89 yards on the ground. So you have this range of 14 to 20 points here. I do like Trey Lance quite a bit as a streamer, especially just because it's Houston. It's a home game against Houston as far as fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position. Texans do rank fairly good here. They only allow about 16.60, but against a running quarterback, they've allowed 5 rushing touchdowns. It feels good for Trey Lance this week. So I'm just excited to see what happens. It's kind of a weird schedule. No, we don't have any Thursday night football. We don't have any Saturday night football. Everything's going to happen on Sunday. So I kind of like this. Thursday night football sometimes is really hit or miss, but it looks like the schedule this week is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see what happens. We're just waiting for more information on COVID stuff, I guess, the rest of the week. So I guess that is the good news. We don't have to sweat it out for Thursday Night Football. So I just wanted tonight to be a quick video. If you guys do have more questions, I will go live tomorrow evening. Probably go live around the same time, 7 o'clock, and then Thursday night show again, 6:30. So we do have a lot of time this week for decisions, so don't sweat anything out too much. If you guys do have any more waiver wire questions or anything that you need, last minute before they run through tonight, hit me up on the video here. Hit me up on TikTok, Twitter, whatever helps you guys out. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. Have a good rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one. Peace.